Aries, this is your reading for the week of August 11th, or when you hear it and it resonates, and it won't be for every Aries. But for those of whom this fits, the song that came into my mind was "Off We Go into the Wild Blue Yonder, Off We Go into the Sun." And it is actually a song that was used for I believe it was the American Air Force, but it was something that's associated with being able to take off on wings with power. And I find it particularly interesting that it's not only flying into the sun, but that it is a war song, and you are ruled by Mars. So it's not that I think this is about you necessarily being in a fight. What I feel is this is you coming more completely and fully into an elevated position with your own energy, with your own identity, with your own essence, and all of the great qualities that are associated with Aries. Being able to really come to the forefront in a way where you're using them now to guide your life. And I feel that partially because that's the quality that I get from this, from the energy as I hear that song playing. It's that sense that it's like you're here, you've decided, you're on your way, you're doing what you want to do. And then the cards really started to give me that impression as well, because the very first card that I pulled for you was choice. And of course, choice is about power. Choice is always operating. The ability to choose is in fact the power to create your life. Choice is always operating. When it's an unconscious choice, it's often motivated by some past experience and is linked to reaction. Habitual behavior is usually an indicator that there are some unconscious choices being made. Bringing your choice to the conscious present gives you the flexibility to choose your choice. Conscious, mindful choice enables you to respond instead of react. So I like that, because this says to me that you're now making conscious choices because of that sense of freedom and power that I'm feeling in this aircraft that's moving up into the sun. That it is very much about you having the power, the energy, the dynamic, and the awareness to be able to make choices from a different place that are really empowering you in how you want to live your life. It's interesting that I also get there is another me, which is about a higher conscious presence, recognizing that there is another part of you, which I think is what you've been tapping into in order to be able to set yourself free from old triggers and unconscious choices. And then you also get the Angels Everywhere card, which is a reminder that there is divine help for you, even in what looks like a very earthly situation. It might be the right person at the right time. It might be really feeling like divine presence coming to you from something happening like in the table and chair reality. But overall, what I would say is, for me, this feels as though, Aries, you've stepped into another level of personal empowerment. And that with that, there is the understanding of a higher you, perhaps a higher purpose or a different purpose. And I would say maybe a more profound purpose. And I would say, okay, thank you. So this is now coming in as, this is purpose that is about you fulfilling you, as opposed to you helping to fulfill other people. This is now you doing you. And yet, I'm also getting, or perhaps because of it, what I'm getting is grace and kindness. And both of these cards are very much about softness, about compassion, about ease. So there's nothing in here that is talking about confrontation, having to set boundaries, all that stuff. It feels to me like, and now you get forgiveness too. It feels to me as though there's been a real letting go of the need to fight, because what you've got now is you've got that sense of right. Right is might. Thanks. Right is might. You feel right in yourself about the choices that you're making, so you don't need to be arguing. You don't need to be blaming. You don't need to be apologizing. You just know that what you're doing. And now, again, you get the grace card Again, you get the grace card twice. So I'm going to read you this one specifically. Grace is not earned. Grace is a state in which we receive, for no apparent reason, a divine influence which strengthens us in a way that eases whatever problematic or miserable state we find ourselves. Grace needs only to be accepted in order to be received. So you get the grace card twice. You've got choice, which is about power. You've got higher conscious self being reflected here. You've got angels everywhere. Again, divine grace, divine presence. Whatever you're dealing with here, if you are facing situations, Aries, where in order to claim your power, in order to make the choices that you know are really resonating with personal fulfillment, true personal fulfillment, I feel as though now this is about you being able to engage higher frequency in order to be able to move into that it's not about fighting. It's about forgiveness and kindness and clarity, leaning into higher energy, higher awareness, self-purpose, and that you will get what you need in order to be able to liberate yourself if there are situations around you. Now you just get boundaries or barriers. So you may be needing to set some new boundaries with people in order for you to be able to claim your freedom to fly into the sun. Doesn't mean you're going to necessarily be cutting people off, but it might mean you now being able to say, you know what? This is what I need to do for me. And I will be in school 4 nights a week, and you're going to have to find a way to feed yourself. Or it's your turn to take care of the kids. Or I'm sorry, but you're going to have to deal with your insecurity on your own. You can't ask me to cut myself back because it makes you uncomfortable. Maybe it's time for you to get a therapist. You might find yourself needing to say things like that. Again, with love, not with blame. And of course, one of the things that can happen is it can create a sense of abandonment for people. And it can create a fear of abandonment for you, because when you start making choices that are about you, sometimes what we fear is that by putting ourselves first, those who have relied upon a different behavior from us will now go, oh, well, if they're not doing that for me, game's over. You know what? If the game is over because you are taking care of yourself in a good way, in a kind way, maybe it's time for the game to be over. I'm not saying it will be, but it's also something to consider. Some people can move with the dance. See, I think I see it like this. Everybody that we're with, in whatever relationship we're in, there's a dance, there's an energetic dance that we play, and we each have a role, we each have our steps. And that can work as long as nobody changes. But as soon as one person really changes the steps and now the other person is left out of kilter, they're either going to figure out a way to be able to move with the new steps, which usually involves them expanding their themselves, their energy, their psyche, or they're not going to be able to and they're going to leave the dance floor. There are all sorts of ways to negotiate that. New boundaries, kindness, grace, divine intervention. There's all sorts of possibilities. And this is a time where you really get to see who supports you in you being your best self, who's able to support you in being yourself, your best self. It's not about blaming them if they can't, but it's about you having the courage to do what you need to do for yourself in an honest, genuine, kind way, and moving forward with that to see how does this play out in your life? How does it reshape your life? How does it reshape your relationships? It's something we all go through when we go through change. And so I feel this is very much what's potentially going on for many of you. But remember, please, you've got grace, divine grace. You've got that twice. You've got angels everywhere. You've got higher conscious self. You've got the power of choice. You've got boundaries or barriers, which again is an option of choice and creates the ability to re-establish things. And you've got kindness. So I feel as though you've really got what you need here to be able to reshape things for your own betterment, and in a way where you get divine support, which means it's typically, when we start talking about grace and divine support, for me, when I look at that, there's a reminder that everybody in any situation has a soul, has their own angels, has their own guardianship. And whatever you need to do for you, if you're doing it for yourself, genuinely for yourself, it gives everybody a chance to grow. However they choose to or not choose to, whatever timeline they do it on. And it's the same thing. If they change, gives you the chance. So you can look at this as an opportunity to really expand not just yourself, but your relationship, whether it's with another person or whether it's with a community. And you get the chance, you get the opportunity to really start understanding the power that you have and how to wield that power with love, with kindness, and with grace. Okay? I leave you with that, Aries. This feels like it could be a really profound time of change in a really good way for you. Take care.